Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to our live session as we discuss the new Alliance of Design and Construction Professionals. I'm going to bring our panelists and our guest speakers online right now. So just bear with me 1 second. Okay, we're live. Take it away for us, Douglas.
All right, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be introducing the Alliance of Design and Construction Professionals. We are a group that started a discussion about the industry professionals and the built environment. So today what we want to do is give you a little background on our discussions, how we came to be, how we're moving forward, and how you can participate in the future. My name is Doug Feldman. I'm hosting today. I'm a registered interior designer, state of Florida. Been down here practicing for 25 years. Our firm's history is both residential and commercial. Ethan, please introduce yourself.
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you, Douglas. Very happy to be here today. I'm an educator. I'm an assistant chair at the Fashion Institute of Technology. I'm a member of IIDA and also AIA. Currently I'm a registered architect in New York and New Jersey, and very happy to be a part of ADCP. And yeah, thank you.
Lauren.
Glad to be here as well. I'm Lauren Early, Associate Director with the American Society of Interior Designers. So I oversee government and public affairs at ASID HQ. I'm located in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I work with these gentlemen as it relates to ADCP matters, and just excited to be part of today's conversation.
And Scott.
Thank you, Douglas. Scott Wheaton with Bachman Construction, Vice President of Integrated Services, and actually having been a practicing electrical engineer for 30 years, making a transition into historic preservation and adaptive reuse with Bachman Construction, specifically in our design build deliverable. So thank you very much for being a part of this organization.
Thank you. All right. The first question that we're posing, so everybody has an understand, is what is ADCP, and how did it come to be? So, Ethan, you were a founding member. Give us some background.
Yes. So, a collective came together. We had, architects, interior designers, construction folks, and also, landscape architects, even lighting designers as well. We all came together and we thought that wouldn't it be nice to have a coalition, except we're calling it an alliance, but it's similar to coalition. And the purpose is really to provide public protection, and we really just wanted to examine things such as regulation, education, examination, and the work experience that's necessary for one to become a professional, and also how we can support each other in this industry. And not necessarily trying to create a monopoly for any one profession, but really just emphasizing on protecting the public health, safety, and welfare. And part of this is really we're trying to evolve, I think, our mission statement to be much more inclusive, and that includes more public programming like this, where we can bring on a panelist with a host, and we'll just talk about different topics as they relate to the different trades, the different industry. And I think that's how this got created. And Scott was there in the very beginning with all of us, so maybe we can kick it over to Scott.
Thank you. I guess what really kind of interested me in focusing with a number of different allied partners was maybe perhaps looking at or maybe having an opportunity in a forum to have a discussion about what so often we go about the practice of our work and our contributions to the community, and ideally we're doing it with intent. However, I think sometimes when we get so well practiced or caught up in initiatives that we're responsible for, we have a tendency to rely on our expertise and simply switch it over to autopilot. But I think this is kind of an interesting forum, and I thought that perhaps the collaboration of so much depth of experience in giving light to some topics, that we have an opportunity to contribute value. So,
Lauren, you have?
Yeah. I mean, we're founding members as well, so we obviously see the value in an alliance to this, working towards these ends. I think it's something, I read something recently. I think we as human beings now spend 80% of our time indoors, if not more. That's probably gone up since the last time we did a statistic on that or ran a study. And I just find that so interesting. So the built environment is so important to all of us in our, professional lives and our personal lives. Everything we do revolves in some way around buildings, how we navigate them, whether they're sustainable, whether, it's historic preservation. Is it making sure that we can tell I'm pointing to Scott's title, it's making sure we remember where we've been. So I think it's just a really interesting concept, what we've done here to try to bring these groups together, because we all have a part in that story, right? We all have a story to tell. And when we all come together, we can show the strength of the built environment and make it a safer place for the public, for building occupants, for everybody, all of us that are indoors so often.
Lauren, I think you make a great comment there, and I see it in practical reason, in practical context, where we develop such a high level of expertise, being in our lane, so to speak. But really, it's a dance of integration. It's a dance of collaboration, and we're all plugged into a greater culture. And I think sometimes we have to consciously make the decision to invite that diversity. We have to invite that level of integration where we can actually leverage and recognize the contributions of the individuals. But if we're not aligned and we're going in all that turbulent, unintended consequences can result. And I think that here is just another manifestation as we practice in the built environment, internal, external. But I think with conscious and deliberate intention and collaboration, we can actually yield more than individual expertise will take us. So,
I agree. I mean, the key word in all this is the collaboration. We all work within the same sandbox, per se. And I know from my experience over the past years is finally finding the people who check their egos at the door, who have a single vision that they bring to the table in order to move the project forward, but in respect to whoever our partners might be, recognizing as you said, we have there's a lot more at stake. We have an obligation to the general public. We have an obligation as the people who have created this forum to our industry, and it's taken place in other formats, but it's never been this free and open dialogue between industries and professions, and that's what's significant.
So, Doug, do you see this happening in like a bi-directional way? I mean, some feedback that I get from people who are just starting out, looking at pathways or career opportunities. I don't know what to ask, to question to get the answers, but at the same time, even practicing for a long time, you kind of shut avenues off sometimes or filter them out and looking at it from a fresh perspective can be really enlightening.
It is, and I think that's what keeps that's what keeps us going. Our client base is very diverse. They're not enormous projects; they're local projects, but they're very diverse, and that's what keeps it interesting for us. And when we meet with our clients, right or wrong, we say, this is our core group, and there's a reason why it's our core group. We trust each other. We have the shorthand. Um, we all have the client's best interest at heart, and we know what the goals are. And while there's always a conductor to the orchestra, hey, if the string breaks on my violin, I can turn to the seat next to me and say, "Do you got a spare?" And that's what's important about this. And Ethan, you're in education. How do you see the students coming up in this?
Oh, okay. So that's a great segue, possibly to who is involved with ADCP. So, obviously, as an educator, I would love to see students involved. I mean, they eventually become what we call the emerging professionals. And, you really do want to kind of plant seeds of ideas about the collaborative nature of our industry very early on. You alone cannot design a space just by yourself. You have others supporting you. You have the engineers, you have the architects, you have the interior designers, you have the construction managers that manages the construction, and you have the contractors that actually deliver the project, from beginning to end. And so from my perspective, I would love to see more educators and also more students involved within our alliance. And I know that going back to the very, very beginning, we had, as part of a mission statement, we had said that we would love to have architects, building officials, contractors, engineers, inspectors, interior designers, landscape architects, lighting designers, manufacturers, and just general tradespeople supporting our alliance. But even to think beyond just the working professionals, sometimes we neglect, the younger generation, Gen Z, the kids that are in college, or possibly the high school kids that are thinking about future careers, and I'm actually part of IDA. We've been working with the student development of New York IDA, and we actually actively work with ACE, which stands for it's the ACE Mentor group. It stands for Architecture, Construction, Engineering Mentor Group. So it's the ACE Mentor Group of Greater New York. And we would love to kind of instill this notion that it's a collaborative environment. We're not there to, no one owns that big piece of that pie, that it can be shared and it can be divided. And I think to get the young folks involved and to kind of hear their voice and to have them talk about this, openly, I think that's a great start. So I love to see more, students involved. Yep.
It's interesting because I grew up in a different field. I was a set designer and a stage carpenter in the first half of my life. And from age 13, when I started, we were taught it's a collaborative art form. And you need the set designer, the light designer, the actors, the orchestra, whoever it is, to convey the message, being the show, to the audience. And I think in our industry, we do have a tendency to lose sight of that. The best thing is when you watch, I have a lot of friends who are still in film and watch the credits at the end, how many hundreds of people are involved to create that one project that takes normal development on a movie now is 3 years, and which is very similar to a large project that any of us could be working on. I mean, my projects usually last 2 years. And, I try to explain to our clients that, in your home alone, I'm going to have the people you see and the people you don't see, there'll be probably at close to 200 people working on this project, from our vendors all the way up to the guys who's doing the grout work in your bathroom. And that's what I think we miss in our industry, just because it was never set up that way.
Yeah.
So,
Douglas, I think you've raised a really interesting point because You're so true. It's so accurate. We're missing an opportunity that we hope, this group starts to bridge those gaps, because when you have a diversity of thoughts, when you've got people who are thinking outside the box, that are related and know enough about, your working profession, but are doing something different enough that they can bring a unique flair and they have a specific expertise, that is so valuable. I mean, it's everything that every working organization seeks to establish, right? Is this diversity of people's thinking. How can we take a problem that's age old and fix it in new ways? And I think, to Ethan's earlier point, that's why we think the students and emerging professionals are so critical to these conversations, because a lot of that diversity of thought comes just from youth going, I wonder if this has ever been thought of before. And there's a chance it hasn't. So when they raise that, it's like, oh, wow, that is novel. This is new. We should, figure out how to incorporate this. It's always exciting to hear from them.
But a lot of that has to do, I think, sometimes, and luckily, I think Ethan thinks a little different than most of the educators I know. I know when I went back to interior design school, we went to supply houses, we went to fabric manufacturers. We weren't just taught how to draw and color theory. We were seen behind. We were shown what it takes behind the scenes, and I think when you have education that has a fixed time period, it's really hard to get all that information in.
Yeah.
And I don't think once somebody goes out in the field, having graduated, there's always an opportunity for them to at least experience those different facets. I mean, when you come to work for me, one of the first people you're going to meet is our cabinet shop, and understand what it takes to get a product out, and what's right, what's wrong. I think that, I think that's lost, because
Yeah.
they'd rather see, again, God bless HGTV, but it's magic. Well, I grew up in theater. That is magic. Nobody knows how any of that exists, but it takes so much hard work and so much experience. And I think that's what we need to bring to the forefront. So, again, collaboration and what's starting here is really recognized and appreciated.
I think too, what you're getting at least what I'm hearing, is there's an element of respect. There's like a deference owed to other professions and other expertise, that it has to be taught early, and it has to be taught by people just like you, Ethan, to these students. And even before then, you hope their parents and people around them and high school teachers are instilling those same values, that, whatever your trade is, great, become a master of that. But respect other people's paths to get to their mastery of whatever their skill is too. It's like the thing, I'm an attorney by schooling. So now I'm doing government affairs, policy work. And in law school, there is a bit of that cultural tension between, attorneys like to put themselves on these pedestals, and then there's the paralegals below them, and then everybody else. And it's just so backwards. It's so outdated. And a lot of, my peers now going through this process are like, holy cow, we would be nowhere in the legal profession without paralegals and everybody doing what their craft is. So it's almost like, removing yourself from the equation and just going, those people know exactly what they're doing, and I'm going to trust in that. And I think that's what this group has the opportunity to demonstrate, is everybody's got their craft. We can make sure that there's deference, respect, and collaboration having shown through that.
So, Scott, let me ask you, in a large firm, is that instilled in the employees?
Well, I've had the benefit of working across career of a very small firm and a very large multi-state, doing work in the United States and beyond, and settling in more or less, not to settle, but actually to realize value in a family-owned business that does work primarily in Wisconsin. And I mean, there are cultural differences throughout, but I think where we're kind of developed an awareness that, and I think Lauren mentioned to it particularly well, the approach reflects values, and values are at the core of it a mutual respect amongst peers, professional peers, and collaborative peers. And that's what we aspire to do. It's making quality lives, not only from our professional roles and our day-to-day work, but how we treat one another, and understanding that while we spend 40, 60, whatever hours of a week devoted to our careers and our professions, we are a whole. I mean, each one of us is a whole person, and while career is important, it's not all in eclipsing the rest of. And people have their lives, and it's important to understand that and value that people have personal lives as well. And so, I mean, that I really appreciate about where I continue my career. And I don't know, maybe I missed your question, but I think in the context, I think where we work, there's very much an attention about not only the work that you do, but valuing our relationships, and recognize that, I guess, on an egalitarian level, we're all human beings, and we're not so special as to have the world teeter on you being there, or having such a contribution that is can't be supported by your team. So,
all right. Listen, we have about 8 minutes left, so I'm going to combine a couple of things. One, we wanted to kind of give a recap of our mission statement, but I think we can join that in the conversation with who we'd love to see join us, because we can't find, as we find people who have interest in what we're doing, they should understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. Ethan, I'll let you.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Very, 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 very happy. So, as far as how to join us, I'm gonna put up our LinkedIn group, and we also actually have a YouTube channel. Now, this is being streamed live on video, but the links will be on the LinkedIn post below as well. So, and this is how you can join. You can watch our YouTube channel, or actually join our group, our LinkedIn group, and you'll be notified of future programming and things and topics that we will actually introduce to the group that we will discuss. Now, going back a little bit earlier to the, Douglas, what you asked about the mission, I truly do believe that, our alliance is really about, reasonable regulation for public protection, right? So, we do believe in regulation, right? Because we are professionals, and without regulation, there's no building code, there's no, life safety, there's no health, there's no welfare concerns. And I do want to introduce one very interesting concept, which is kind of beyond, if you look on our group, beyond our mission, and that is this notion of longevity and sustainability, And yes, we protect us, the public, and the users, but what about our future generations, right? So I think we have to have the foresight to think about the future, and that's something that I kind of do collectively want to bring that into the mission of our group as well. And that has to do, again, with sustainability. I know that could be covered under welfare, but I think sustainability goes beyond, just serving us humans, the public. It ties into resiliency design. It ties into the environment, energy savings, water savings, right? So I'm also a LEED accredited professional, BD plus C. And I think those are some of the topics that we should also explore as a part of our mission. Just the longevity of buildings, our planet, and not just, a human regulation and codes and protection of the safety and welfare of the people itself, right? So so I think I want to introduce those topics into our mission as well. So in addition to whatever we were already covering before.
Okay, great. Scott, final comments?
Thank you. Come back. Let's do it again. Can't wait to see the next episode.
Lauren, what are your thoughts from being an outsider?
An outsider. What are we, the greasers in the 50s? Or yeah, I mean, I echo everything that Ethan said. I think, we have a very strong mission statement right now as it relates to advocacy, and the first step in advocating and regulation, which comes way later, right, is just educating. So just sitting around talking like this, talking about what the built environment is, who it includes, who has seats at those tables. So, we hope that folks will continue to join us in these conversations and pose any questions in the LinkedIn page, and we can address them as a group. So this is a conversation. This is not, us talking at people. I think we all in our day jobs have plenty of that. So we certainly just want to bring people together in that sense, and, it eventually expand. Once we are strong and really have our sea legs, we can expand into those other markets as it relates to sustainability and bigger stuff. I mean, we're emerging from this global pandemic. I just saw, as I'm sure all of you did, that the CDC officially lifted its emergency title or distinction for the COVID-19 pandemic recently. And so I think, we have our work cut out for us, because that's just the first of many in our lifetime, I think. So, we've got that, and that's a part of sustainability and wellness. So it's good just to have the ball rolling on these fronts. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And as a teaser, hopefully in an episode to come, we're going to be talking about some wonderful collaboration within the industry, with some exciting news and stuff. So hopefully you'll be able to join us and hear more information about that, because again, I've been involved with the industry for a while now as an advocate, and the changes that are happening, they're coming quickly, and they're very positive. We're finally hitting the goals that we have set for ourselves nationally 20 and 30 years ago are finally coming to fruition, and that's wonderful.
Mhm.
So please join us.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I just so look forward to future programming and the topics, and Douglas, you've been such a great host. We hope you'll come back and host all the topics again. So fantastic. Great. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. So we're gonna end the broadcast, but before we go, we'll just play a little bit of elevator music.
You've been saving that the whole.
Yeah, I've been saving that, and it's not the kind.
Do we pretend we're in an elevator, like
Yeah.
Austin Power style, kick off screen, or?
I was going to walk over to my baby Gran and start.
There you go.
Okay, well, great. Thanks for this session.
We're
We're gonna end the live broadcast, and we can all watch ourselves, have a later date. So,
Thanks, guys.
all right, cheers.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.